So Jason went out on a limb and was saying a lot of white people working in the talk radio business. Not sure where he gets that from. This is the premier lineup. Let's see. Well, those of you with the talent for pattern recognition might be recognizing a bit of a pattern here. Now, I did talk to Julie Talbot, and I asked her, I said, you certainly didn't go out of your way just to hire all white males of a certain age to do this work, did you? And she said, absolutely not. She hired the best people for the job, in her opinion. And she gets a little bit busier on the weekend. I'm not sure which boxes Jesus Christ ticks off, because technically he's from another land. So I've seen him classified different ways. There's the blonde, blue-eyed Jesus. There's the African Jesus as well. So we'll leave that one unexplored. Jesse Jackson on the weekends, though. Let's take a look over at Westwood. We have a card-carrying member of the Hispanic community. He's up on the stage with us today. And these other guys, yeah. How about over at Salem? Check. Larry Elder is back. And that's good. I think he just recently rejoined, right, Phil? And if we look at the Talkers Heavy 100 and do a little analysis, which I did, we have exactly one woman in the top 25, one African American, 0 people under 40. Now that the one guy who was under 40 is 41, that's Ben Shapiro, and over 60, overrepresented. If we go all the way into the top 100, it changes up a little bit. 13 women, 5 African Americans, 1 Hispanic. Under 40, we've got Charlie Kirk, he appears to be about it. And over 60, we've got over 60 people over 60. So let's start out with Peter. You as a program director, did you ever have occasion to hire somebody where their race or ethnicity was a primary factor in your choice of that talent?
Well, you may not have noticed this, Lee, but I'm a white guy. I was born that way. It's just the way it goes in. I happen to believe that most radio program directors are looking for something that hits the audience. And whether it is a woman, a man who is any ethnic group, I don't think we really care. I think we want great performers with great ideas who bring great perspectives. And I think, though, that one thing that we could do as an industry is perhaps go out and foster the ability of people to develop talent who have the aptitude, just not the exposure to do it, to allow them to join in the whole gang, and it doesn't matter what their background is.
So you're saying this is more a factor of who is attracted to the work?
A lot of times it is.
Okay, David, you're on Sirius Patriot, and it does seem like there is a deliberate effort there maybe to bring some more diverse voices online, at least according to this graphic here, where it appears to be possibly 50% African American. But I've heard your show, and it seems to me, at least, and maybe I've caught you on off days, that you're just doing a regular kind of right of the center talk show, and that there's nothing particularly African American about it. Am I hearing you wrong?
First of all, I'm black. I didn't see that category up there. I didn't know you were a white guy, and I've actually worked with this guy that now claims he's white.
And by the way, happy to use your preferred language.
Yeah,
here.
But as a guy with white privilege who was once told I'm white, some of you might know that one. Something about Patriot that people should understand. It was never a plan based on diversity. It was a plan based on talent. That's really all it was. Andrew Wilkow met me. I was actually working with Peter at the time. That led to me filling in, then going there. Stacey Washington did a panel with me on Hannity. She came over to my studio that night, and now she's on. It goes with what Peter's saying. Do you have the talent? Do you have the knowledge to do this? I didn't start out in talk radio. I started out in music radio. So imagine a major market rock jock in Boston doing AOR on WAAF as part of a team with a 6'4" Irish guy named Ian. And suddenly you get a picture that, like most PDs, most people out there in our business, while there are some, I'm sure they have different versions of it. Most of them are, can you do a show? Can you get an audience? Can you deliver? And do the fans want you back when you're done? Now, diversity already exists in the population that look at the country. So are you trying to appeal to them intellectually or ethnically? And I find it more disingenuous to just be heavily focused in any way on ethnicity rather than intellectually, or in that other word we use in radio, content. Focus on your content, deliver it for what it is. Some will like you, some won't like you, hopefully more like you, and then the PD keeps you.
Rich, heard your show many times. Your opening on your show sort of hints at your background a little bit. The young lady who does the VO puts a little bit of Hispanic flair when she says your name, Rich Valdes. And you do bring it up with regularity that you come from that part of the community. But it's not the be-all and the end-all. How do you work your background into the program, and how important is it?
I think just like you do in yours, right? It is and it isn't. Right? It's radio. So I think there's a presumption that it's a bunch of white guys. So when I make a reference to my upbringing or what I eat for dinner on Christmas, it's really just to tell the story a little bit, to add a little flavor because it's theater of the mind. But what David was saying is spot on. We're doing talk radio. It's a conservative commentary. We're talking about the news of the day and giving analysis on those things. And ultimately, it's a meritocracy, and it's also who wants to be in the game. If you want to be in the game, I've never met too many people, my contemporaries, other Puerto Rican guys that are like, hey, I want to be a radio guy. I just haven't met them. So I think that the lack of, if that is a thing, of people that are black or Hispanic or women or anything else, is maybe there just isn't that interest. This is just something that always interested me.
Or in your case, are they maybe doing it, but in a different language?
No, I've been approached by a lot of people about why don't we do talk radio in Spanish? And the advertising isn't there to support it. So I don't think they're doing it in another language. It's a very small niche if it is happening.
Kate, a bit of a unicorn starting out in the sports talk world, which has some, pretty defined belief systems, but you managed to get in because you were a woman or despite being a woman?
I think I got in despite being a woman, because I'm going to agree with Rich. I'm going to agree with everybody that we've heard even earlier. It's about wanting to be in this business. Why would I do radio? My family wanted me to go to Penn, and they wanted me to go to law school because I came from a family of lawyers, right? But I love sports, and it took a while for me to break the glass ceiling. Kurt Kretschmar, where are you? He's somewhere around here, too. He was awesome help to me when I started at Sports Fan Radio. And then Mark Chernoff and Jack Silver championed me. So they fended off whatever criticism there was. And the bottom line was, when I was on the ticket in Dallas or whether it was WFAN, did I get the audience? Was I entertaining? Did I know what I was talking about? Did I get great guests? Was I compelling? That's radio. And that's what I did. And I didn't worry about if there were people that criticized me. In fact, most men, the listeners, lifted me up. Except for the one time I got a nasty email from somebody about I was a Mets shill when I was on the Fan, because I grew up a Mets fan. So what can I say? I did talk about the Yankees.
Peter, a hypothetical. Let's say you were to hire somebody who was not a white male, age 50 plus, and brought them on the station. They were possibly to the air identifiably ethnic. How would you promote that or not promote that on the station?
I would not promote the diversity. I would promote the point of view and the ideas like I would for any talk show host.
And make no mention of it whatsoever.
I don't think it matters. In fact, I think most people, we go out to dinner. What are we eating? We're going to a Puerto Rican place. We're going to a Japanese place to eat. It's most of us, and of any background, no matter what your political point of view is, etc., we enjoy other ethnicities. I think the alienation comes in where you're sitting there and you say, oh, we've got this woman on the air and you better listen to her, or we got this Hispanic fella, or we have this black guy. No one wants to be preached to. They want to be spoken with and listened to. And that's what brings this together. And again, I've hired women. I've worked with hosts of a wide variety of points of view. And different ethnic backgrounds. There's no need to lead into it. Lead into the ideas. And the personality and the perspective will come out automatically, which will identify them as a particular ethnic group or not.
Now, David, you do political talk radio. It's the Patriots, and obviously people who are listening to that channel on Sirius are MAGA friendly, and then when they hear a voice like yours promoting the right side of the ledger, doesn't that have more impact than the guys we saw working over at Premier? Because you're kind of expecting them to come out that way. You would be the anomaly. And how much impact do you think it has? Now, I do understand that on that channel you might be preaching to the choir a bit, but maybe not.
It's a little more complicated than just black and white in that sense. Peter's right, and as someone who's gone through, I guess, my version of a glass ceiling by not caring about the color, right? The color's obvious, right? You can see that. The ideas are there. The audience, I just let myself go out to them as who I am. And over time, they've known my history. I've been a Republican since I was 16 years old. So I guess I was Republican before blacks were supposed to be Republicans, considering they were initially the Republicans post-Reconstruction. And part of that is to educate people on what they believe in and what they think about themselves, about issues, rather than trying to tell them what to think. I never want the power to force you to think a certain way or to shut you up. And I've built an audience that comes to me in disagreement and agreement. Trolls, matter of fact, trolls are my longest running listeners. They are there day after day with different names. It was Fernando and Fritz yesterday. Same guy.
Yeah.
He got in twice. And then he puts YouTube videos up. Yeah. But the fact is you're engaging them whether they like you or don't like you. And now they are hearing you. So they're there. The MAGA friendly, the this friendly, I don't get lost in that. I just don't, because it's whether you actually can support and substantiate your ideas. Frankly, have a little bit of fun too. Life is more than politics. In talk radio, maybe one of the things we haven't done well as an industry at times is get outside of just what's expected. In sports, you can do culture, and I feel your pain as a Mets fan. But you can do other things. Because life is more than politics. It's life. It's bigger. It's broader. If I'm going out for Puerto Rican, by the way, you know, a good place for mofongo, because I can't find one anymore.
They're all in
I'm in
Jersey.
Miami, man. I got all the Cuban.
You
I need some mofongo, okay?
I love some mofongo.
All right, we'll talk. Hey, I'm Jamaican. What can I say, all right?
Hispanic men broke big for Trump in the last election cycle. You were a Hispanic man who had
Last I checked.
Kindly things to say about President Trump. Again, you being you, how much influence does that have beyond what you would ordinarily have if you were not identified as you are identified?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's quantifiable or not, but I think that we look at it the wrong way. Whether you're Jamaican, whether you're Peter Thiele, whether you're Kate Delaney, whatever you want to call yourself, people vote for different things. People have different opinions. They like different food. So Hispanics tend to be a very culturally, very conservative type of people. And sorry, that's my live radio alarm show prep. And
Are you supposed to be somewhere else?
no, I start my show prep at 3:00. So anyway, the bottom line of what I'm trying to say is you get these people and you appeal. I'm not appealing to their Hispanicness per se. I'm appealing to the fact that they believe in a nuclear family. I'm appealing to the fact that they believe in marriage, that they believe little boys should be little boys and little girls should be little boys, and they shouldn't commingle that way, the way that we've seen happening as of late. And if there is a segment of the population that has an upbringing similar to mine, they might find a correlation coefficient, if you will. And I learned a lot of this stuff listening to Bob Grant. Right, Bob Grant was great, and he couldn't use his own name. His given name was Robert Giganti, right? And that was a thing. And this is why you say there's an enunciation on my name, Valdes with an S. It's kind of an ode to everybody who went through that. I worked for a PD, Dave Labrosi, shout out to Labrosi, who went by Dave Anthony for many years because he couldn't use his ethnic Italian name.
As it was explained to me early on in my career, no matter what ethnicity you are, somebody hates you. So don't be one.
Right. So with that being said, I count myself fortunate to be that is my real name. That's my given name. So if in my Hispanicness does appeal to somebody, because like Bob Grant, he would start mumbling in Italian, and it was funny to me. So I've kind of embraced some of that in my show persona and shtick, and it really is a part of life. So I think it works well, but it's a secondary thing.
When I worked in Phoenix, our State House reporter was named Hans Letz, and he did some stringing for ABC, and they were writing him up, and they said, Hans Letz, what's your real name? He said, oh, my real name? Johnny Dollar. So there's a move away from political talk at some stations. Walter Sabo Sterling killing it at night in Philadelphia, not doing politics. He's doing some things that touch on politics, like Sydney Sweeney and Cracker Barrel, but those are also pop culture issues, and they don't do politics at WGN too much, which is why we had to move you across the street to WLS, Rich.
Which, by the way, got me into this cool spot of being on both of those three-letter stations in Chicago. I don't know anybody else who got to do that.
Happy to help you out
Hey,
anytime.
thank you.
But in this non-political arena, not that women aren't into politics, they obviously are, but Kate, do you think that women might have something extra to bring to non-political talk radio?
Absolutely, but I think, again, it goes to the same thing, identifying. I do identify as a woman, but I am a radio talk show host. My job is to entertain, be compelling, talk about what's going on in my world. I hang at Miami Calle Ocho all the time, so I got some fun to tell you about.
We need to talk because Mofongo's down there is okay,
Yes.
but the one over on 17th.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think what it is I go deeper. What does it mean in your backyard, in my backyard? Some policy happens, something happens. I have people on that go a little bit deeper. Let's scratch deeper instead of yelling and screaming, because there's a lot of white guys and other guys that get paid a lot of money to do that during the day, and they're very good at it, right? Because they've established themselves in that arena. But I think scratching it a little bit deeper, what does it mean? What does it mean to the consumer? Is it a bunch of nonsense about the tariffs, or is it not a bunch of nonsense? How does it actually affect us? And women care about that, because guess what? Sure. They control the purse in most of the families. And by the way, when you go to get commercial spots, which Glenn Beck talked about, that's what I care about a lot, because that keeps us going in radio, paying the bills. A lot of times it's the woman is the consumer that is whatever it is.
Sometimes
including
you have some endorsement deals that guys just cannot do convincingly.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. And plus, throw in, you have benchmarks in your shows. So I have Invade the Man Cave and Nail the Score, and women come out of the woodwork to try to nail the score. This week it's Philly and that other team, the Cowboys. And so who's going to win?
Cowgirls.
What's the score? And women, they text me and all that other sort of stuff. So I think I kind of got off track, but politics can be, absolutely, women care about politics.
One thing, if I could just throw this in, don't insult your audience.
Yep.
Don't insult people. Treat them like you'd want to be treated. Have an adult conversation no matter the topic. You can have fun, you can do all the other things, but give them a little credit. They're there. So have that adult conversation, challenge yourself, challenge them, because uncomfortable spaces are fun to go into, but out of it, you tend to get much better conversations at times.
The premise of this panel is that diversity is, in talk radio, an unalloyed good and should be pursued because it should be pursued. Do you agree with this, Peter?
Yeah, I think that diversity is a wonderful thing. It's a fact. You stick 40 white guys who are in their 40s in a room, and you have them fill out what they think about a wide variety of things, you're going to get 40 different answers. You'll find the same thing with people who are Latino, for women, for blacks, for any group. It's a fact that it goes through. I think the idea for the audience, this is where I think there's maybe a stereotype of that some programmers in this industry don't quite get, is that you put on a person who is different than the target demographics, gender, or ethnicity, that the audience won't or won't like it, and it will drive them away. And I find that complete garbage. You go in and you provide an authentic point of view, and you bring it up from your perspective. The audience will respond and appreciate it.
So, in a way, you're saying it doesn't matter who you put on as long as they're the right person. But the premise here, again, is that we need to be going out and actively looking for people who are different. If we're looking for tomorrow's David Webb, where would I go look for tomorrow's David Webb?
Well, first, you'd only be allowed 17% of me at your radio station. Well, I'm about 14. You're about 17. I don't know, what's the woman number?
5.
You're about 5. Okay, my point, it's garbage.
I think we can change those.
Yeah, it's garbage. It really is. First of all, there are many factors why the industry where it is. Where are the broadcasting schools? Where do people go? How do they get into the business with or without a broadcasting school? What do they study? You can never find a clear formula for why people go where they are in this business. And I've spoken to numerous broadcasting associations over the years, NJBA, TAB, others, and I go there, and it's who goes there oftentimes, or in some other way gets into the business, sports and over. If you didn't grow up maybe with a sports background or some interest, you would have never gone into sports. But if you grew up with race cars, you might be the next Danica Patrick. The problem with trying to define diversity is you get caught up trying to fill a box and check a box rather than checking the actual box that matters, which is the content, the quality, and the engagement. And to the point of breaking glass ceilings, the best way to break a ceiling is to have a whole lot of people with you going through that ceiling. That's our job.
So, in a way, the onus here is actually on the talent to at least make themselves aware to us. I don't know if you do any mentoring, Kate, but if you were suddenly charged with having to find the next Kate Delaney, where would you go looking for that?
It's interesting. Richie and I had this conversation at lunch with a couple of other people. It's so disappointing. Like sometimes I'll have a young woman call me up, or even young guys, and then they'll say, well, do you have to work on weekends? Do you have to start on weekends? Do you have to work on the holidays? Do you have to work overnight? Do you have to go to all the locker rooms? What? So it's kind of hard to find that person. And I think part of that is generational, maybe. And but in mentoring people, and I do, by the way, is colleges, is exactly what Lee said. You're talking about going to the broadcasting groups. I speak to a lot of schools, and there people come up, and while a lot have to be filtered out, every once in a while somebody would come through. So I think it's meeting young broadcasters. And I think it's our industry doing a better job of that. Jason Barrett said to me in the hallway, we were talking about it, if I was a younger Kate Delaney when I was like 20, I would come to this. And I would talk to everyone and tell them what I wanted to do, and I'd be working the room like nobody's business, right? But they didn't have that. There was talkers, and I did go to talkers, but you didn't have a lot of that. And that's what I would do.
I think the one thing is about professional development, and I think that's the real discussion that has to go on here, is that when I broke in the business, and probably everyone on this panel, is that we had to push our own way through. We may have had a little more talent, may have had whatever that was, and you had to push your way through. And now we're in a position, because the vast majority of entertainment and media options, we have to identify and mentor and train those people. And I think that is ultimately the challenge. And it doesn't matter what the ethnicity or what the gender, it just doesn't matter. We're now at a place like that where that is the most important thing for us.
So
to
you're
do.
saying that we've gone from the situation where people came to us over the transom and we could pick and choose from who was there because there were a scarcity of jobs. It was a scarcity business. Now, scarcity is we're in the opposite situation. Everybody's carrying a TV station in their pocket. Sometimes they keep going off. And, we're not necessarily offering them anything special from what they can see in the outside world, because it's been a long time since a black or a Hispanic or a woman walked into a radio station and was told, "We're not hiring you because you're one of those categories." I mean, you've been at it for a while, but I think you are also post the era where they said you're not going to work out, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So if you encountered any obstacles, I presume they were all talent related.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. You asked them, where would you go to find the next you? And I thought to myself, if you ask me that question, I'm still trying to figure out how to find this me, right? I don't know how to define me, right? I don't know. I think this is an evolving gig that we do that is really, really cool. Some days you get to talk to big people in government. Some days you talk to actors. Some days you talk to all different people if you're doing interviews. And I think that's part of what's fun about being entertaining and informative and trying to put on the best show that you can.
Now, I guess we can talk a little bit about to what degree a local station at least should represent the local community. And Peter, you not too long ago programmed in a pretty small community. You were definitely punching below your weight there in Missouri. And the question is, if you had an on-air staff that looked like the community, that was not going to look like the on-air staff you'd have in LA, right?
No, that's true. But I think also one of the things that we have to be as it's going in. I think the blind spot for our industry, while it could be for people of different ethnic backgrounds, I think it's the idea of us as an industry realizing, okay, here's how people digest media. Here's how they haul them in. And will our next generation of people be able to allow and for us to do all the social media digesting, all the different ways to get that, and how do you develop them but while accentuating radio as the main platform of delivery?
David, you made the transition from music radio to the talk side, and the music side does tend to be more diverse because you've got different formats of music that attract different kinds of people. Do you think that that might be the happiest hunting ground if we need to pursue this endeavor?
Probably not a bad idea. But whether you're in rock and I've done various formats. I was at Z100, I was at WILD Boston, WAF Boston, KLOL. I mean, think about it, classic rock, AOR, and of course hit radio and more. So maybe not a bad idea to look there, but what are you looking for when you're there? You're looking for the person and their ideas. In music, you play someone else's music, right? And you talk about it and you tell the stories. But in talk radio, you're actually the music. You are the song. So if you go and you look for those people in the music industry or the music side of the business or the entertainment talk, I've done that side too. Everybody's got a dark past. It was a lot of fun. I mean, come on, it's what it is. You'll find that they still have their own ideas, their own upbringing, their various views on things. But I think it's not a bad idea to consider that.
Yeah, because again, they're not necessarily banging down the doors to get in and be with us, because because they
music's
don't see people
too much fun. You do it till you realize, oh wow,
yeah.
Format's changed.
Or you're tired of being a gold card U-Haul member.
Now, but you know what? I'll use myself as the example of this and why I say sometimes there's not a formula for this business. All right, here are the markets I've worked in. New York, Boston, Dallas, Houston, syndication, satellite. That shouldn't happen, right? You're supposed to work weekends, overnights, pay your dues. Luck had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Connections had something to do with it. I'm not the most talented person, and I take it all in. So if you try a formula, the formula often fails, which is why I go back to look for the individual, the ideas, and what they can do. There is no formula for our business, and I hope there never is. Because I think the true diversity here is it can come from anywhere, out of the blue, surprise the heck out of you. I did a talk show with Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. That was my transition to talk radio. David Webb, the Republican, Willie D, the gangster rapper, who was a good guy with great ideas, still is because he's still alive. We disagreed on
Unusual
politics.
in his line of work.
Right, but he wanted to help, Willie wanted to help his community. He wanted to be the Oprah on radio. He helped save people. And I can think of specific individuals I met. He was doing local talk, and suddenly there was an idea. Let's take this and syndicate it. So Willie and I teamed up. You know, anything's possible. You'll find that person. They're out there.
How would he have done by himself without you to help him along?
He wasn't a radio guy, so he needed a producer, and then it morphed into the team more and more. But that's also a part of developing a dynamic. You develop a relationship, you find where you each fit in the dynamic on the mic, and then you just have at it. I mean, face it, it's a creative business whether you're playing somebody else's music or making it with your mouth.
Kate, boy, no lack of women in sports broadcasting anymore. Would you say that problem is solved, or is there more to be done?
But in sports broadcasting, it's mostly in television.
Yes.
So, like I'm kind of like Larry. We have a lot in common. I have a gold U-Haul too, and I worked in Dallas, and I got lucky in some cases and knew people, and people helped me. But I would say, what's the question again?
Whether we've solved the problem of women in sports broadcasting, and you did make the distinction.
Right. It's television, not radio. It's not. There's solo women doing a sports radio show. I can't even think of anyone. When I was just doing sports talk, it was the sports babe and then me, and that was it. It took me 500 rejections to get my first job in sports. And I had news credibility because I was doing news, and I started at KYW when I was like an intern or whatever. So I think there's still definitely a lack of women in radio, period. But it goes to all the things we just said. You have to find the talented person, the right person. Peter's right. Who's talented? Who wants to do it? Who's compelling? Who's bringing it?
Let's see if we can wrap it up with an action plan then. I think we're all agreed that talent comes first, over and above any other consideration. However, there are talented people out there who are not currently attracted to what we're doing because there are so many other options, for one thing, and they don't necessarily see people like them doing the work. So with the understanding that talent comes first, maybe we can reach out to places where there's a different kind of person with a lot of talent and do it that way.
I just went through this prospect. The idea is, well, if we went out and had a talk show host quit, how would we recruit? Well, how would we find whatever that next person would be? And, the idea was going down the podcast lane, trying to find those people who are doing local podcasts and local types of things. The other place I think that, because we're now at a place where we have to recruit, how many people have gone to improv classes looking for a talent?
Yes, and?
Yeah. How many people have gone to open stage nights, for the local comedy club and sat down and said, okay, well, there's somebody who's doing, current events, type of humor, fits sort of the demo of what we're doing. And, they just happen to be a woman, or they happen to be of this ethnic group that's different. I think that's the key part of this. And I don't see us as an industry that's exclusionary on who we're hiring. I think we're inclusionary of who wants it.
Yeah, no, rodeo clowns, they've got higher standards than this business. All right, they're going to play us off if we don't get off. So thank you all for being here.